Let's try to find something maybe a little bit different. It's from a Dr. Garp with an underscore. So this one's nice and short, and it was posted 4 hours ago. I have a cash flow statement assignment due on the 2nd. Oh, sorry you guys, my bad. Is it better to submit bad work than no work? That's the question. I have a cash flow statement assignment due on the 2nd, and I have zero clue what to do as far as expectations. Should I just submit work and hope for the best? This is a great one. I think this is relevant to a lot of us. I don't know if anybody who sees this is in school. A lot of us have jobs. A lot of times when we're new at a job or there's a change at a job, we might not know what to do. And there's also sometimes a feeling with school or work or just anything where we don't know what is expected of us, that we don't feel comfortable asking what's expected of us. Like, should we know this already? Are we going to face repercussions because we don't know this? Will this person be bothered if we ask them? I would say for this, if to the OP and to all of you, if you have the ability to ask someone that might know, especially the person who's in charge of whatever thing it is that you are trying to accomplish the task for, probably do that. But if you are afraid for some reason, and it doesn't have to be a big afraid, it could be a little afraid, like about how people might see you, treat you, limitations in the future. If there's any kind of like strong pull, like, I don't want to ask the person who's in charge, look around the person in charge. So say at a job, if you're working on a team, there might be people that know what to expect, and you could maybe ask one of them if they feel safer, what the expectation is. When I'm training people, I always like to make sure that I'm letting them know that I am a safe person to come to. If they have questions, people usually don't remember things the first time you tell them it when you're training them. They just don't. I've done a lot of trainings in a lot of different places, and I don't. I need to be reminded, and some places aren't structured and organized enough to have like that information listed out someplace for you to go and reference on your own. So you're told it once and then you're just supposed to know. And one of the ways to deal with that is, one, modeling. So look around your environment and see what other people are doing that's related to the task. And if you don't have access to somebody who's doing the same thing that you could watch kind of discreetly, you could also look online or other non-online places to see what people that have a similar position to you are doing or a similar task and model that. That's a way to avoid having to ask the question. Will it be perfect? Maybe not, but it is a way to manage that. The other thing is try to assess whether there's somebody who is safe that you feel like you could trust to go to and ask the question that you're looking for. In this case, the OP is asking how to do the specific cash flow statement assignment that is due really soon. And so for that, you're going to want to look for little cues with a person. One, do they seem like they know about the topic? So that's the number one thing. But even more important than the number one thing is actually, do you feel safe around the person you're thinking of going up and talking to? If you're not sure, you could look at some things. How do they communicate with other people? Do they seem to always know all the gossip? If they do, that doesn't mean that they will share what you're sharing, but it means that they might. And until you know them better, you might not want to go to that person Do they seem frustrated and impatient? Do they walk really quickly, which isn't always a sign, but just like little things, just look for little cues that a person might be receptive. If somebody seems totally overwhelmed and like distracted and having a difficult time and they're kind of short with people when they respond, maybe that isn't your person. Maybe someplace else. And I will say there's a lot of communities, like this person is asking on Reddit, which I think is a great option. There are a lot of places that have lovely communities on Reddit, but going off of that, with the two things, if you don't feel comfortable and you don't find the answers, so say that you're this person, the OP, and you have no idea how to do this thing. I'm going to say, if you cannot ask how to do the task and you cannot figure out how to do the task on your own, try. You are probably more capable than you realize, and it might not look what your employer wants, but it shows that you tried and did something, and it also shows, it gives a place to like jump off from. So feedback can come from the things that you didn't do right. And that would be my advice for anyone who's doing anything, including school. Usually some work is better than no work. Something is better than nothing. And with that deadline coming up soon for the OP, I would also say doubling down on something is better than nothing. Even if you don't finish it, unless you only get one bite at the apple. If you only say that you're working for a company and they only get to submit this thing one time, you're just going to have to bite the bullet, so to speak. You're just going to have to deal with the discomfort and go and talk directly to the boss. And that goes for anything. If you only get one chance and like it's so weighted that one chance, it's either like pass or fail. It's either this or that, and you don't know that you can like pass, then the stakes are just too high at that point, and you just have to say, it doesn't matter what this makes me look like, because your responsibility, other responsibilities, is greater than like maybe your comfort level. It's just really important, because there are certain tasks where like you get one try, and that can be really scary, but it's still, at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. We get to decide how we want to handle this situation. And I would say the one thing not to do, if possible, is to not do any work and to not reach out, because then you might have a lot of stuff going in your head and processing and a lot of questions, but doing nothing, it's not a great look. It doesn't give other people much to work with. Somebody tries, oftentimes more likely to get some consideration for making mistakes than somebody who didn't try. And I also want to say that I really understand that there are a lot of barriers sometimes to like being able to do things. Those barriers might be really valid. This is a generalized answer to like a question for one specific person, and not every element of it might apply to every situation in your life, but I think it would for the majority of it, especially with school. And there are a lot of people who have just started school. In my experience with school, that getting some points is better than getting no points. Most assignments are not graded pass fail. At least, even if they are, you have a chance of passing. If you turn nothing in, you have no chance. I will also say that extensions are often something that is available, even when they're said not to be available. That's across the board for like jobs too. It just really depends on who you're working with, but it doesn't hurt. It is better if you have no choice and you're not going to be able to do something, it is better to ask for some extra support and like room than to just do nothing. So that's my official take on that. But I am curious to see what other people say. Somebody says, the user a little sexy page, which is fun. That is a fun username. As far as scrolling goes, yes, better to submit something rather than nothing. No work gets a 0, and bad work can receive partial credit, which is what I'm saying for school. Kate Purple, who is a super helper, says, it's always better to show you at least tried. You could send an email saying you had difficulty and ask for feedback. And especially if you're new or just new to the task. Also, you don't have to disclose things about your personal health to your employers typically, assuming you're from, the United States. Some people on Reddit might not be. You can use some things, like personal things, if you feel comfortable disclosing them, or situations, to not make it okay, but to make it understandable. So say your grandpa died, and you didn't get something done. That's kind of more understandable. And some people everybody's going to view that differently, but typically in my experience, what I've seen is there are people who will be open to some explanations as long as it doesn't feel like you're dismissing it as something that's just okay that you could do in the future. As long as you're saying, like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to try to do better, I just didn't do this or wasn't able to do this for this, and this reason, and I'm taking these steps to try to do better in the future, or this is why it will be better in the future. And then you demonstrate that. I like to follow up when I make a mistake or do something that is a big kind of oopsies, with not just an apology that's genuine, that takes accountability for my mistake, but also with a way to show that I take it serious enough, that I'm going to put effort into trying to avoid doing that again. And people aren't perfect. Say that you were late because of traffic. You might be late again for traffic at some point. But then it's a matter of like trying not to be as late or as often, So in general, people respond more favorably when we are making effort than when we're not making effort. And you might be making effort, but it's up to you. It's your responsibility, oftentimes, to demonstrate how you are making effort to somebody else who might not be able to see it if you don't take those steps to show them. Oh my gosh. I love this name, so I'm going to go with this user, their response. Spicy with 2 Y's and an underscore potato. Spicy potato. Not what you normally think of with potatoes, but man, beats hot potato. They say you could try asking for an extension. I think that is true, like I said, as well. That there are some things where there's deadlines that they have to be met, and there are sometimes where they can be a little bit more mutable. I will also say this about not doing anything. If you really can't do anything, you still need to let them know as soon as you can that you can't do something. Because, and especially with work, there might be serious deadlines that need to be met professionally, that if they're relying on you to make the deadline and you don't ask them for help, and you don't find help on your own, and you don't feel confident or comfortable trying to do the thing without knowing definitively what to do, so you're not going to do the thing. That's, you're just like, I can't do the thing for whatever reason. You're not going to do it. The honorable thing to do, even though it might feel embarrassing or difficult, is to let the people who are going to have to take on the task know as soon as you possibly can. Like, as soon as you can. And that's a really hard place to be, but it puts everybody else a little bit behind, and people are more likely to be increasingly upset. The bigger a deadline or thing is, the higher the stakes, and the less prepared they are to take it on when they weren't expecting to do it. That's also been my experience. I want to thank everybody